With Osun governorship elections just 24 hours to this moment, over the safety concerns arising over the safety and credibility of the poll have been intensified following a reported surge in election-related violence across the state. The pre-election security risk assessment, ESRA, report by Kimpact Development Initiative titled 2026 Osun Election Integrity and Security Assessment, Electoral Pressures, Risk Scenarios and Strategic Mitigation Priorities said that no fewer than 73 election-related violence incidents resulting in 29 deaths have been recorded in the build-up to Saturday's elections, with Osogbo identified as the worst-hit area.
The death of 14-year-old Ezekiel Olakpade, who was reportedly hit with a stray bullet during a gun battle involving suspected political thugs in Ilubu, has further heightened or highlighted the human cost of the violence. INEC has identified 385 potential flashpoints across 11 local government areas, while security agencies are deploying thousands of personnel to protect voters and electoral materials. Both APC and Accord supporters trading accusations over the violence, questions remain about whether security agencies can prevent further bloodshed, protect voters without intimidating them, and ensure that political competition does not become a battle for survival. Well, joining us as we discuss this is election, definitely one who's followed the elections from different states, also across the country and in Nigeria. We have from the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room, Mr. Ene Obi, joining us. Thank you so much for being here. We can see you all get up, set, ready to go, ready to rumble, like they would say. Good morning to you.
Good morning, my friends. Good morning, Nigerians.
Good morning.
Good to have you. First off, can you tell us what the situation has been like since you arrived in Osun State? What's the local government? What are the local governments looking like?
Okay, so like you just reported, and in your previous analysis of what's happening in Osun State, it depicts the kind of report you have read about KDI, and in fact also Clean Foundation, both members of Situation Room, have highlighted consistent electoral violence in the past months, which began even up to last year. But more importantly, is from April of this year up to date. Even though technically I would not like to count the incident in February where the chair of there was some form of takeover of local government that resulted in certain deaths. You may classify it as electoral violence, but it may not be related to the election, or but that's on a side. That's okay for anybody to analyze, because that was a specific event. I said that electoral violence undermines participation, creates room for voter apathy. People are scared to turn out to vote because of the unknown, particularly in areas like Elisha, where violence has become a dominant sin. For instance, last night, there were reports that one person was also shot dead, that the vehicle just drove to a crowd of people and then shot at them, and one person eventually was reported dead. I cannot, at this time, independently verify, although our observers have reported it, but we need more evidence. But it's also on social media already trending about what happened. So why am I saying this? When just barely 48 hours to election, there's still a report of death. And it may be just one small location, but it quickly spread across because it's Osun election. And based on incitement coming from political actors, particularly the senator you mentioned, one would expect by now, beyond the 2 hours drill, there's also some other intervention where you see a police officer calling someone who have incited violence as distinguished. I mean, I do not understand what distinguished may mean for that kind of incitement. Even though the senator have also said that he never said kill them. He only said kill them with votes. But I don't understand where you talk about kill them with vote when election day is far away. You have to wait on the election day. But the plenty that came, even though it said that people had used AI to manipulate what he said, or that if those interpreted the language was not very clear with the Yoruba interpretation. But I would expect that that senator will go publicly to say, this is what I did not say, but I am calling on all of our voters, all of our supporters, do not engage in violence. Violence against in elections is no good. That kind of very vocal statement that can also trend the way the so-called killing are trended. So it should be countered in a way. But right now, all we hear media-wise and etc. is the defense to the one he made, not the direct opposite of a commentary that can be used. But also, I would expect that the governor of the state sent strong warning to say, go peacefully, and all of these major actors in the election. You saw Shomole yesterday in the want to bring about that peace when he said the APC is a party of peace. So that kind of signal, you put it out publicly and quickly so people can begin to relate with the current and not the former. Also, from our voters, yesterday when we did refresher for voters, what we begin to get is that skepticism about whether the election will be peaceful. So there's a bit of an assurance that citizens are ready to vote.
Thank you very much, Mr. Austin Ayegbe. I'd like to bring in our second panelist into this discussion, Mrs. Ene Obi, who's very familiar with election monitoring. Good morning to you, madam, and thanks for joining us. What's your assessment of the polls? 24 hours to the elections in Osun State, we've already registered some 3 violent incidents and 29 deaths. What does this tell us about the security situation going into tomorrow's elections, even though over 25,000 security personnel have been deployed? Does that give some sort of assurance to the voters?
Thank you very much for having me, and good morning, Nigerians.
Good morning.
And, viewers. I just want to say that, Austin is my colleague in the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room, and he has pointed out certain things. I think there is a lot of tension, in the environment, and that's not the best at all, because the tension can result into voters not wanting to come out. But what we see is that the political class, they need to show themselves. They need to also take responsibility. I think we have more flashpoints in Osun State today before this election, about 385 flashpoints. And you have 13, about 13 local governments out of the 30 that are zones, that are environments that one is very, very worried about. It's not as it was in 2022, because we're here in 2022, the points were pinned down, and we had a very, very peaceful election. But we see the body language of many of the politicians, not the best at all. And I want to say that the stakeholders are doing the best that they can. They can do more. We were at the central banks, central bank last night, until the sensitive materials, came on board, meaning that all stakeholders' hands need to be on board. The judiciary, for example, there has to be some threshold between which nobody can bring in any statement from the court, because the last minute, printing of materials because of an addition, because the court has said you now can add this, who is going to pay for the wasted materials that has been printed? And then the time consumption, but we could see the willingness, the police, they were formidably on ground at CBN, those men and women of the Nigerian police force ready to escort materials to the different environments. As at 9 p.m., they were just being, materials were just being distributed. I think that readiness and the recs, even the rec of Osun State, Barrister was on ground, trying as much as he can to move things, as fast as she could. You can't run faster than your leg can carry you. And so for the sports, all the stakeholders, the security stakeholders, They need to be on ground. They did a wonderful job in Ekiti 2022. We had a lot of hotspots, but the security agencies escalated it, to the army and all of that, and everything was arrested, and we had almost a very peaceful election as well. So I think the security, agencies, I know they are ready. They have the intelligence. The political class is also overusing our officers that are paid by Nigerian money. And I think this is an area where we should be able to look at. Those escorting the politicians are people from the service. At what level do they back out? At what level do they honor them? So it's a waste of our money to have, Nigerians should be able to walk freely. You're a politician. If you're not afraid of what you're doing, why can't you walk around without the retinue of security people that you have? And so the situation, I will say that the stakeholders are doing a lot. If all the RECs, the CPs that are in Abuja, they are on ground and they are doing what they need to do. And so we hope to see improvement, but Osogbo itself and the whole of the local government has always been a red alert. It's still red at this time, but we know that the security agencies know what is happening, and we hope that they will give their best. And we call on them to be impartial, be neutral, and also observe human rights. We hope that sanctions will be meted, because if somebody is making a statement like my colleague said, Senator Fada Osio, I don't know, what his name is, but, if someone like that is making a statement, should he not be arrested? Why would he be using violent language? You say hate speech, violent language, even if he says kill them with the votes. Why can't we do that? I think we want to see sanctions, because this particular election is a test for the 2027 election. So what are you going to do with the people? Sanctions. Nigerians are not observing. Should you not arrest people and hold them responsible? So we are looking forward to what they are going to do. Why do you want to win by force and all of that? We also call on the state governor to use his own, because you are the father of the state at this point, that you need to, make sure that you urge them to be impartial, because you lead today, tomorrow you leave for another person, but leave a mark behind. Unite your people, because those that are being killed are citizens of this state, citizens of the country, and they are under your protection, whether they are APP or APC or whatever party that they come from. They are your citizens. We should not be losing lives because of politicians. And they are not their children. Most of them, their children are abroad. Should we not be talking about something like that? And so we call on parents too, to urge them to make sure that their children don't go and start throwing stones because of somebody, because they will be arrested and they lose.
Okay. I want to show a video on screen now. I know we've discussed security with Osogbo, Osun State in general, and time will not permit us if we want to dwell more on security. But what you see there on the screen, this vote trading that we've seen in the past few days. Let me come back to you, Mr. Austin. What does this actually mean going into the elections in the next few hours, say 24 hours from now? Is this going to play a very strong role in determining what the election results would look like? And secondly, what does this also tell about Nigeria's security agents? We know they're working pretty hard, but the CBN has a rule. The Electoral Act has a law as well, and also the DSS is also on the watch. What do we make out of this? What we see on the screen, which has been so prevalent, especially Osogbo showing the greatest signs that we've not seen in a long time.
Thank you very much. I heard you when you had interrogated that video earlier. What came to my mind is technicalities. When you say vote trading will have to happen on the day of election. You see, when agencies or political parties engage in this kind of action, you are buying vote ahead of the day. You are trying to engage to say, please show up on election day to vote for us. If you flip that coin, which is the more worrisome one, is see and buy. you
Show
vote
and
and we buy. So it means that you have to show the ballot for a certain amount to be given, or a tag is given. You then move. So you are compelling that voter to mandatorily vote for you because you have weaponized poverty in a way that you dangle 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 at them. They can't resist it. They end up going to vote for you. Then you then buy the vote afterwards. So you want to see and buy. But this one, why it worries me is that for EFCC, they say don't abuse the Naira. EFCC can also tell you they are not abusing the Naira. You see, they've made it very clean. They've done it. So why am I saying this? Politicians always avoid breaking the rule. They bend the rule. So in a way, particularly those in the ruling party, they bend it. When you accuse them, they say, no, we have not broken it. How can you, for Christ's sake, for even saying the loudest of it, how can you even display money so openly and you are placing them ahead of an election? When I saw that video, what came to my mind was that I was trying to listen to what they were saying. I couldn't truly hear whether it was Yoruba. It was more of maybe an outside conversation. And I was wondering, who are these? Because I need to also independently verify that this video represents Osun State and that it's not coming from somewhere far away from Osun. I tried to look at the picture on the face cap, whether it represents, but again, that does not matter. What is happening is that this looks more a political environment, and they could call it empowerment. In any case, when we see this kind of event happen outside of election cycle, we call them empowerment. We do not relate with it as vote buying. We should be criticizing any of this form. Why are you even exposing the people you are giving the monies to in this era of insecurity? What it means is that each of these individuals can be attacked as soon as they leave this environment, and they could steal the money from them, even when you're empowering them. Let's even be moral in any case. I'm looking at morality, that it is important that the EFCC, whose mandate, who has told us, I saw on X yesterday, Chidi Odikalu, former chair of the Human Rights Commission, was saying that I thought that EFCC has actually put a ban on this, and he was hailing the EFCC chair and expected that even without waiting for anything, the EFCC could have even released a report or a statement condemning this public action. Whether you call it vote buying, because it is not, I would not call it vote buying. I would rather call it suppression of vote, because it's not yet at the voting point. Even the suppression of vote needs to even happen in the day of election. What I'm saying is, we were before now in a dual election of 2016, there was something that happened. Politicians were buying vote before the vote, and most of those politicians who bought that vote ahead of the voting day ended up having challenge. They were voting, citizens took the money and were voting for the alternate political party. Then the conversation was, take their money, go and vote your conscience. But just a month after that, in 2016, in an Ondo election, politicians refused to buy vote ahead of poll. They said they wanted to see before they bought the vote. And that was what led to see and buy. You know, that you have to then, which created more of an anarchy situation. People were waiting at the polling unit up to the previous election. People will go to polling unit and wait for who will come and buy their vote. It became a trading situation. Polling unit became a market square where voters come, then those who will buy will come, they meet at a market situation, and then they exchange certain deal, an agreement, you vote for me, I pay this.
Okay.
It's a colossal damage, and I think we all have to do more, whether before election or on the day of election.
Thank you very much. Madam, just before we let you go, I have two-part questions for you. I'll first want your reaction on the same incidents of vote buying, which seems to have reached an alarming level. People are even calling it cash and carry democracy at an auction. And the second leg of my question is, reports identify about 385 flashpoints across 11 local government areas. And we've seen heightened security presence in the state. does that give some level of assurance? So what's your message to the electorates in Osun State tomorrow? Should they come out and vote? And yeah, what do you have to say to them?
Is that to me?
I think we. Oh, sorry.
No, it's for you, madam. Go ahead, please.
Ahead of the polls, we call on citizens to exercise their rights to vote. It is their decision. It is their destiny. People can say what they will, but in your environment, at least you watch out. Of course, you need to watch out. We don't want to continue to lose lives. We don't want people to, of course, risk their lives. But in your environment, you should be able to estimate what is happening. Is it community environment? You should be able to go out and cast your votes. We are asking INEC, let their votes count. We are worried already that the starting of the polls may be affected. I think some of our members have talked about that openly to urge INEC. Everybody needs to do whatever they can do. But we should protect, they should make sure that they protect the votes, the voters, and the vote. And at this point, I think I will have to go, but I hope for a better election tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Your time.
Thank you. Thank you for honoring our invitations, thank you so much for being here.
But we still have Mr. Austin Aibe with us, I believe.
Yes. Mr. Austin, Mr. Austin, we also have joining us for this conversation is, of course, seasoned analyst who will be talking later on in the course of our conversation. But let's stick with you, Mr. Igwe, as we wrap up this conversation. Ahead of the elections, tomorrow is D-Day. We've seen a lot of campaigning. This happens to be one of the most heightened campaign that was colored with violence like never before. People, even those involved, are no longer just talking about people going out, the electorates going out to vote, but it was filled with threats and counter threats and actions. Just yesterday, the army was said to have caught, allegedly, one of the candidates, and he was caught with weapons. We also have a footage of that. Not just him, but of course, men who were accompanied in that particular vehicle which he was moving in. What's your take on the fact that we've seen brazen acts of conduct when it comes to insecurity like never before? And what does this mean as we go into 2027?
So you see, Osun election has a lot of nuance. First is that it is the last obstacle election to the presidential election of January of 2027. So the stake is very high. It is high because it makes it look as if this is where the final statement will be made. So the party at the national level wants to dominate that narrative to say, we've now played everywhere. When the Senate president was talking yesterday in that campaign, he said he would like to add Osun to the national so that they can benefit from whatever is happening at the national level. It therefore means that Osun, as of today, is not benefiting from the national. And one would expect that those kind of statements, I didn't quite agree with it, because we have a federated state. We have a federal system. The state governors are supposed to be the one closest to the people, and of course the local government, which of course I don't know whether it still exists in this current architecture. Having said that, it is important that we understand that Osun is like the go-to 2027 election. Number two is that in 2022 elections, the way and manner the former governor of the APC at that time, Ayatollah, had lost the election, where the hope was very high, an incumbent governor losing an election. And if you take that back to 4 years before it became, at the time it became governor, that was in 2018, what had happened was the results snowballed into an inconclusive poll in about 7 polling units spread across, I think, 5 or so LGA. That poll in the by-election, in the concluding election, during to conclude that election of 2018, it was highly militarized. Beyond the military, it was highly organized, if that word exists. The Thug took over the process. And that was how the APC secured that victory in 2018. Fast forward in 2022, they lost the election, and the man who had lost, who was supposedly winning the election, the current governor, had lost the election in 2018, and the court agreed that he lost the election. Then it is now time to take it back. So the Ayatollah group wants to take it back. And it is normal for politics that you've lost, you are now coming back, but now making it look very forceful is also a challenge. And again, Osun has some history of violence, whether it's in the Modakeke area, the Ilesha area, and that's why you see that number. 13 of the 13 local government are red zone area. And that's the essence. And lastly, off-cycle election are worse to conduct because Osun has border with many states. All of them want to come and support their own candidate or their own position. That's why you saw the former governor, the current governor of Edo State, coming to Osun to make those commentary he made a few days ago, including commentary like, is a dancing senator before he entered the plane, he dances. That has no bearing in campaign. That's even something that looked like hate speech. And you saw the way the governor responded to that. He said, well, it is because you don't know how to dance. And you are seeing videos now trending, even the Edo State governor dancing in one of those outings. So I think politicians, again, re-echoing my initial commentary, politicians must truly mind the way they vote, they speak, particularly in tense environment like an election. Election is so tense because of the advantages it brings. When you win in an election, particularly in the global or presidential election, overnight, you that don't even run business, you don't even have any employee, overnight, you can recruit even thousands of employees overnight because you've just won an election. Our elections are so costly, our elections are so demanding. That is why you begin to see that people want to put everything to win because of the elite bargaining and elite advantage, resource control, resource advantage. A governor has an opportunity to appoint special advisors, senior special advisors, all manner. And then you just have a way of allocating those resources to the political actors without necessarily thinking about the people. And that's why they actually also put some votes somewhere to buy votes on election day. And they tell you that the people don't even care whatever you are doing. What they care about is that before election, they want to see the money. Why is this a problem? As citizens are beginning to demand what is not even right, including asking parliamentarians to come and build roads, asking parliamentarians to engage in executive function. I think that democracy of today, the Nigerian democracy, has its own nuance. We must define Nigerian democracy not as government of the people, but the people and by the people. We must have a way of creating it, like I have said. It's a government of the elite or the government of the cabal who determine the course of action, and when they win, they abandon the citizens and settle the elite, settle the cabal in readiness for the next election.
Thank you so much, Osun, for joining us. A very deep and detailed conversation. We're glad that you're there. We also have about 5 of our reporters who are equally there, and they'll be joining us in a very short time. But thank you so much.
And we look forward to engaging with you in the course of the elections tomorrow. Do stay safe, and we hope for great elections tomorrow. Yes. Peaceful.
Don't worry, we are on body shield.
Thank you.